She was sitting there.
This is the audience.
Hey, over here.
Oh.
We're
Picture of taking a picture.
Where's
This is taco night. Taco night.
Taco night. Go Kevin. There's his wife.
Taco night is now academic night.
Academic night.
Are you sitting with the professor?
Yeah.
You can put it on YouTube or something. They'll pull back a little bit. Maybe it'll be a topic. There you go.
Is it starting?
It's going, right?
Are you nervous?
Mark, it's set.
Yeah, should we mark where the time starts, actually? We could have a work on.
He needs to know for how long.
No, that's fine.
No, I have to play right through.
Okay, here we go.
The World Health Organization has announced that for the first time in history, overeating is a more significant problem around the globe than starvation.
Wow.
Through a combination of personal experience, research, and expert opinion, I will be explaining the pitfalls of overeating, but also some of the practical things we can do to avoid those pitfalls. Overeating poses both immediate and long-term consequences for our body, but again, there are practical things we can do to avoid those consequences. So in the next few minutes, we'll be talking about just those things, the immediate consequences, the long-term effects, and also just a few practical things we can do to avoid overeating. So the first thing we're going to talk about is overeating has immediate consequences. And most of us have experienced those things before. When we eat food, it goes into our stomach. Now, can everyone make a fist? Not a mad fist, just a fist. Your stomach is about the size of your fist. Now, when we eat and we eat too much, our stomach can grow and expand to 2 and 3 times the size of its normal size. And that's a lot bigger. That's 300%. And what that does is it puts pressure on your lungs and on your diaphragm. It makes it harder to breathe. We've all experienced that at Thanksgiving, right? When we eat and it just feels hard to breathe. That's what's happening there. Actually, in a recent article in Men's Health quoted, speaking on the same topic, when you feel stuffed, it's because you literally are stuffed. Now, another thing that happens is food, when your stomach is so full that it can't actually get all the way into your stomach, it builds up into your esophagus, and that's what causes acid reflux and even nausea, and that's not fun. And another thing that happens is extra strain is put on your liver. What your liver does is it creates liquids that break down the foods that we eat, and when we're eating so much food, the liver is forced to put out more and more and more and more. And just like us, when we work overtime and extra and more and more and more, we get tired and we get just drained. And that's what happens to our bodies when we eat more than we ought to. So those are just some of the immediate consequences. And those things we can usually live with. I mean, it just passes in a little while. But there are also some long-term consequences to overeating. Over time, overeating can lead to things like cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and arthritis. Another long-term effect of overeating and obesity, it weakens your immune system, so you become more vulnerable to all kinds of diseases and even various kinds of cancer. And also another long-term consequence is that your brain function over time can become less. It's your cognitive ability, your ability to think clearly and think normally like a normal healthy person is weakened as a result of overeating over a long period of time. So those are kind of sad things. They don't make us feel very good. But there are some practical things we can do. We could spend a whole other speech just talking about the practical things we can do, and I'm sure a lot of you already know and are aware of some of those things. But one thing, maybe some things that we aren't totally aware of, is drink hot stuff. A lot of times we drink hot things after our meals, but if we drink a cup of hot tea or whatever before a meal, it makes our stomachs feel a little bit more full, so we won't eat quite as much when we actually go to the meal. We'd eat less than we would if we went into it on an empty stomach.
Thank you.
Another thing big on the market is artificial sweeteners. While they are low in calories, studies are showing that they may cause a high-calorie binge later on. And another thing, not a very popular thing, but willpower. Willpower works like a muscle. When you use it, just like when we work out at the gym, when we use our muscles, they get stronger every time we work them out. The same is true of our willpower. When we just make that decision to say no or to refuse, we strengthen that willpower muscle. So we know the immediate consequences of overeating, the long-term consequences, and also we have various practical things that we can do to avoid overeating. But really, an even larger reason why it's important for us to not eat more than we should, not just because of the consequences to our body, but because our bodies are not our own. As believers, we've been bought with a price, and we have a responsibility to take care of our bodies. And I want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to share these things with you this evening, and I pray that you would be strong against the urge to overeat. Thank you very much.
Where's the cookie?
Where's the cookie?